Good morning and welcome to Purpose-Driven Finances, where our focus is helping you use your finances to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And now here's the host of Purpose-Driven Finances, Alan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning, Lynchburg. This is Alan Molina, your host, Purpose-Driven Finances and president of Shoebox Capital Management, hoping and helping you achieve the purpose and plan for your life through financial planning, portfolio management. I had a friend out there. He sent me one of my favorite clips from Good Morning Vietnam. I forgot the dude's name. Robin Williams.
Robin Williams, sure.
And so I appreciate that. And met with clients this week who said they faithfully listen. I appreciate you doing that. And if you have any feedback, you wanted to talk to me, you want to talk about your retirement plan, finances, education, give me a call, 434-316-0246, or go to my website, servuscm.com, Serwus Capital Management. Rich, didn't think you'd come back, but you're here, so thank you for being back. Appreciate that.
It was a tough call, Alan.
It was a tough call. I know. It's just one of those things, and it's a Friday. Did you hear about what they're doing in Europe? They're proposing in Europe about the work week.
No, I sure didn't.
They're proposing going to a 4-day work week.
Uh-huh.
And the main reason is because if you don't work, you don't create energy. If you don't create energy, you don't need to store it or create the energy. Therefore, you're saving the world and the globe and Europe from nasty greenhouse gases and whatever else energy production creates.
So they want people to be less productive.
Oh, I mean, look at Europe. When's the last time they created something that we actually use? I'm trying to think, bro.
I'm not sure.
Me either. I mean, we talked about, I don't know if you and I talked about it, but in America, and one thing they're finding with AI, and you know this because you know more about AI probably than I do, simply because of the people and you using AI, but they're finding that people in America in their jobs are using AI to create more margin in their day.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, that would be good. But most people, what they're doing is they're creating the margin and then filling that up with additional work that they do. So they're becoming more productive.
Mm.
So what's going to happen to Europe is they're going to reinvent the wheel one day. They're like, hey, we found this round thing. But America continues to move. I got a question for you, Rich, and I would love for the listeners to tell me, and because I need some input. Do you think it would be beneficial to do a 1 or 2 week series on the fourth turning?
On the what?
The fourth turning. Remember the book I've talked about numerous times, and it's about the guy has studied the 80-year sequoiums going back centuries, and he actually forecast that there would be a pandemic, a market crash, changes in the U.S. government, in the world, and what's happening next. I wonder if it would be a benefit. What do you think?
I guess it depends how you do it. I mean, what's going to be the benefit to the listeners, tuning in to hear about how it can help their finances, right?
Right.
Their investments, or I mean, the title of the show is Purpose-Driven Finances.
Right.
So if it fits within that realm, I think it could be a go.
It could be. I don't know. I always come up with these ideas, and it's not always very beneficial. So, Rich, we have about 10 minutes left, and I like to talk. That's why I'm on the radio.
I do.
And I'm not worried if I'm going to run out of things to talk about. Because
finally,
if I do, I'll just say, so how was the golf? I know you won't ask me that question.
I won't.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Because I know
exactly. Because am I allowed to say, Alan, you suck?
Yeah.
You have a golf event this year in 2026 again. I won't be invited.
Yeah.
You need to take out special insurance because I hit things.
You and your group, man.
Yep, we're just a fun-loving bunch.
That's it. That's okay. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So, what we would, you listeners, what we've done is in the first segment we're talking about what's happening in the news, your portfolio, things to change, things not to change, and really talking about questions that are on people's minds. And so I've teed Rich up with about 7 or 8 questions. He can ask me these or anything he wants to, and let's see what happens.
Well, I mean, I think the big concern now is this war, right? I mean, we're seeing gas prices continue to go up. We're told that the gas prices will come down when the war is over. But, you worry about inflation and recession and how that's going to affect people's investments. So, I mean, let's start there. Are we looking at a potential recession? We saw the Fed kind of holding steady with interest rates right now. Where are we going with this?
Well, the first, from my understand, and folks correct me if you want to. If you don't want to, that's fine with me as well. I believe the first quarter growth for this year, I think, was 0.3, 0.7. That's not very good. Not very good at all. That being said, Trump has declared the war over. I don't know if you saw that. One day before his 60-day window was gone. So at day 59, he said operation is done. Doesn't mean the blockade is over. Doesn't mean oil prices aren't going to be elevated. That being said, looking at the economic research that I pay for, that is very accurate. They do a great job. Looking at it going into the future, the next 2 months are going to be quad 1. Then I think there's a quad 2 or a quad 3. This year is turning out to be great for earnings. S&P 500 earnings are high double digits. When I say high double digits, high teens, low 20s. Small cap is a lot higher, double digits than that. So I don't know. I would not expect we're in a recession. I would say the slowdown is because of a lot of the storms. I think that the slowdown in the economy was because of the war, oil prices, and I'm not really concerned about a recession because an official recession is contracting, and 0.3 to 0.7 is not contracting. Is it less than the previous? Yes, but it's not contracting. However, I am more concerned about 27 and 28 than I am 26.
So as far as people's investments, 401ks, retirement accounts, whatever, where should they be investing? I mean, we're not at a point where people should just be going to all cash at this point, should we? Should they?
No, that's a great question. And the reason being is people are scared because of the, what shall we say, the narratives. I was talking to a client just, I think it was yesterday, and I said, do you know what a narrative is? I kind of felt bad asking her because she's a retired school teacher.
You would hope she would know.
Right. Oh, she knew.
Oh, good.
She gave me the correct English definition.
Good.
But I felt dumb.
Because if she couldn't, I'd be like, what school district is she in?
I almost blurted one out, but aren't you glad I had control, Rich? Aren't you glad?
No, I want to know. She's glad you have control.
Right. Oh, no. I was talking about which one wouldn't know.
Oh.
That's what I was thinking.
Gotcha.
I almost blurted one out, but no. Okay, keep on going, Alan. And so what ends up happening is the narrative that is being promoted in the media, and if you look at Twitter and, multiple streams, it's negative. And one thing that's interesting is mainstream media, they're getting painted into a corner. And they're either going to have to change their colors, turn the leaf over, or they're just going to continuously go down the toilet. And so I think a lot of the negative, the scare tactics that are out in mainstream media have affected people's mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing gas up, $3.40, $3.50, $3.60, if you're in a blue state, $6, $7, I've heard. Especially, I think California is in the mid-6s.
Wow.
And especially if you drive a diesel vehicle. My son, he bought a diesel Jetta or some, I don't know, a Volkswagen. It's a lot more expensive, and if you have to have premium. That being said, I'm in portfolios, we're risk on. We are risk on. Small caps, consumer discretionary, technology. We are pedal to the metal and expect, there's going to be bumps. But we have a process to deal with those bumps. And I'm expecting a great year.
All right, let me ask you this. What about interest rates? Just mentioned earlier that they didn't move them. I know there's a lot of concern, and there's been a lot of talk about that. We've got a new Fed chairman coming in. What do you see happening with interest rates for the remainder of the year?
Well, it is a mid-cycle election. It's not as important as the third year of the election cycle. And so I am going to anticipate probably interest rates coming down. This is May. They'll probably start coming down in July. Now, I'm not looking at the Fed futures. I'm just looking at it from a logical, reasonable standpoint. That's what I'm expecting, because interest rates at the peak of the war were like a 30-year mortgage, I think, were like a little over 6.5. Last time I looked, they've come down to like 6.24. So it's going to be my expectation as things of the war calm down and Iran's oil wells, once they shut them off, they're going to be in a world of trouble. It's going to be my expectation that those are going to continue to come down. Gas is going to come down, which is going to give the new Fed chair the opportunity in June or July, maybe August, to start lowering rates. The stock market will take off even further. And then Trump will say, see, I told you everything's going to be okay. And then with all of the interesting gerrymandering and anti-gerrymandering and the racism of gerrymandering and all that other stuff that's happening, it's going to be a totally interesting election cycle.
Yeah, there's no question about that.
And so I think I'm not concerned about a recession. Now, if you don't have a process, let me give you a caveat to our listeners. If you don't have a process, or your advisor doesn't have a process to A, identify recessions, or B, make changes as recessions or the economy or the stock market starts going down, give me a call, because you need some help. I don't expect it's happening anytime soon, but you need to be prepared for it. The worst, not the worst. Clients I don't like to deal with, I'm just going to be real, Rich. This is not your advice to me of how I communicate right now. Allie, but these are clients I don't like to get, is when the markets are down 30%, they're jumping ship, trying to find something better, and they're stressed and they're nervous and they're anxious because they want perfection. That type of client, it's just very stressful. Mm-hmm. And so my suggestion for people is there is going to be a time coming down where the market's going to get cut in half. It's just inevitable. That being said, you need to prepare now, not when it's cut in half. What's the next question, Rich?
And I imagine this is a very personal one that's going to vary from each individual based on their circumstances, but converting to Roth IRAs. Mm-hmm. When, where, how, who should be considering it?
Rich, here is, we've done the retirement series on a lot of local employers. I tell you, Rich, I have talked to the most clients or prospective clients that have a considerable amount in their retirement than I ever have in my career the past 6 weeks. And running the analysis of going from a standard IRA to a Roth IRA is highly beneficial, because not only with the opportunities of lowering your tax bracket in retirement, but also your Social Security not being taxed. Also, we discussed IRMA last week, which is not a young lady or an old lady. It's something that it's an additional tax. And if you want to know about it, pull up the last week's show on our podcast. And it's a highly beneficial thing to analyze and to do the Roth conversions. And there's a process to it, and it's just not let's do it. You got to massage the numbers. You got to look at the IRS tax levels, and I've done extensive reports in the past 2 months about this exact subject, and so
it's a very personal thing, right?
It is.
I mean, based on where people are, what their tax bracket is, what they expect coming in, it's not something you just do.
Right.
You really need to put pen to paper or whatever we do nowadays, and do the math.
Do the math. And because if you have a retirement account, a 401k, 403b, 457 that is not in a Roth, and you have $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, $5 million, you're going to have issues. And you're going to have issues that you don't like because you're going to pay taxes. So give me a call, 434-316-0246. We're going to talk about the glorious thing of health savings accounts. Stick around. We're going to go to a 30-second break. Catch you on the flip side.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. Coming up on the next edition of the Brian Kilmeade Show, we'll have the biggest newsmakers, news breakers, and take a deep dive into news you care about. Whether it's breaking news, entertainment, politics, or sports, even pop culture, I'll bring you the latest developments with expert analysis from the big names you know and love. Plus, you never know who may stop by. That's all coming up on the next edition of the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Weekday mornings from 9 to noon on WLNI. And now, back to Purpose-Driven Finances. Here's Alan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning again. Alan Molina, your host, Purpose-Driven Finances, president of Serwus Capital Management, sitting here with my friend Rich Roth. And, folks, he would enjoy you as a client, but more than that, you as a client taking him out on a golf course. He needs that. He can talk about media and internet and social media and the home magazine. He does it really good out on the green. So give him a call. I think that'd be a great thing. But Rich, let's talk about health savings accounts.
Okay.
HSAs. I'm going to run through the basics of them. And then, Rich, I have some secret codes. Secret codes.
Like cheat codes.
Cheat codes. Did you ever play video games back in the day?
Yes.
And those cheat codes, sometimes did you ever try to deal with those?
I really didn't. I played mostly like sports games, and I never really got into the cheat codes.
Sometimes Adrian Peterson or some of those running backs were cheat codes.
Well, yeah, but then
that's not a real cheat code.
There are other kinds where you can actually find a specific code, punch it in,
right? Boom,
and you're just like, what are we doing here?
Exactly. So, folks, just to go over some HSAs. Contribution limits is $4,400 for individuals, $8,750 for families. If you're 55 older, the catch up is another $1,000. They're triple tax advantaged, and we're going to go deep into the weeds here in a little while. But triple tax advantage is it goes in tax free, it grows tax free, and it comes out tax free for medical expenses.
So let me ask you how this works. The company or the employer needs to offer this,
right?
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't do it just because you want to do it. It has to be offered.
Well, I believe you can. Now let me back up.
Okay.
I'm not a healthcare. I don't sell health insurance.
Right.
And the reason I've never wanted to get into it is because there's so many moving pieces.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to get into the minutia. Okay, I'm just being real.
And I dragged you in.
No. Come on, Alan. It's meant for plans that are bronze and catastrophic plans from the One Big Beautiful Bill.
Okay.
Direct primary care. But the biggest issue that's allowed is insurance that has a high deductible. That's classified as a high deductible plan.
Yeah.
And so as an individual, I can get a high deductible plan. So it'd be my expectation that if you have the proof that's a high deductible plan, you should be able to get an HSA. And there's firms out there that offer them to companies, but also to individuals.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other questions about it?
No, I'll listen.
Okay, well, great. Now here is the best practice. I'm not going to – I would love to talk about companies where I'm really helping their employees out, but the SEC in the state of Virginia would not like that. It's which is fine. I won't do it. But there's companies that I help their employees with their health savings accounts. The first thing you should do is don't allow it to be sit in cash, because you can take your health savings account and invest it in mutual funds, ETFs. I just had a client move their HSA because it was managed at Schwab. Mm-hmm. They put it under my firm. They're going to be in the QPM. And so it's going to enable for hopefully much better growth than their traditional American funds that they were in.
Uh-huh.
And so you can be at my firm, the dynamic asset allocation, target date funds, whatever it is. And finally, the no-touch rule. If your cash flow allows it, pay for your medical bills out of your regular checking account and let the HSA compound undisturbed.
Why?
The reason being is the cheat codes.
Okay.
Check this out, Rich. This is astounding. Rich, I'm expecting the government to change this because this is too good to be true.
Give it to me.
The Shoebox Strategy. Imagine you have an HSA right now.
Okay.
You're putting in, well, let me back up. I would max out your HSA before you max out your retirement plan. It's
Really?
that good. I would max it out for you and your family. Max it out. Here's the reason why. Let's say you start your HSA today, or it's going on this year. Let's say you have some medical tests. You go here, you go there, and your deductibles and things like that. If you can pay it out of your normal cash flow, save your receipts. What I would do is I would scan them into an electronic copy and either put them on a thumb drive, put them in the cloud somewhere, but keep them. Because then what happens is you do that next year. You do that next year. And you're, 49, 39, 29?
59, 69.
Yeah, something like that. But you're nowhere near retirement age. At least, you're a young, strapping man.
Yes, thank you.
That being said, for the next, let's just pretend retirement's 20 years from now, and you have an HSA, you can save every receipt of things that you would pay for. Let your HSA build up. In retirement, you can go and present every receipt that you ever have had since you opened the HSA up that you were responsible for, and your HSA account will reimburse you for it.
I'm not following.
Okay. It's 2026.
Yep.
Let's say you have $1,000 worth of medical bills that you're responsible to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, hey, I wanted to take it out of my HSA. Or you pay out of pocket and let your HSA build. And let's say you put your HSA just in the normal stock market and it gets 8% a year.
Okay.
It builds up 8% a year and you max it out $7,000. So in 20 years, you have a nice chunk of change in there. 7,000 times 20 years is 140 plus 8%. You have $263,000 in it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, the entire 20 years from 2026 to 2046, you have spent an average of $1,000 a year on medical stuff.
Okay.
Out of pocket that you were supposed to pay for.
Mm-hmm.
If you saved every receipt when you retired, you can take every receipt and apply it to your HSA, and your HSA will give you all of that money back. With no penalty, with no taxes.
Okay, so is that the difference? Like, let's just say under your scenario, your HSA built up to $40,000 and you have $20,000 worth of receipts.
Mm-hmm.
So $20,000 is tax-free.
Mm-hmm.
What happens to the other $20,000 that's in the account?
Then what happens is it continues to grow.
Uh-huh.
And in retirement, you can this is amazing. This is amazing. They actually made it to where once you hit 65, you can use your HSA funds to pay for Medicare Part B and Part D premiums tax-free. Then on the other item is you can, after 65, you can treat it as an IRA. You just pay the income tax on the withdrawal.
Okay.
So the HSA is so good, I would max it out, and I would not use it in order to pay for out-of-pocket expenses unless you don't have the cash to do it. Because if you have 20 years and you put $7,000 away, or I'm just using that round number for the family, that in 20 years you can have a nice $250,000, if it's got 8% a year. And if you have, like, I'll use your example, $20,000, you can take that out tax-free. And it's immediately, you can use it to live off of and not take it out of your Roth.
And then the rest of it you could take out tax-free as well.
For medical expenses.
And you would just pay taxes.
If it's not for medical expense.
Once you're 65.
Right.
Okay.
So realistic.
So at that point, it's treated like a regular IRA.
Well, except for medical expenses.
Right.
Yes, it can be. So you would in retirement, you can actually use it to pay for your Medicare Part B and Part D, which that comes out of your normal, payments every month.
Right.
And then then at 65, there is no 20% penalty. You just pay the income tax. So it could be dramatic of what it pays for in the reimbursement.
That sounds pretty amazing. What do people need to watch out for, though?
The things they need to watch out for, that's a great question, is you cannot contribute to an HSA once you enroll in any part of Medicare. So basically 65, you can't contribute anymore.
Okay.
And number two is, the shoebox we talked about?
Yeah.
If you lose a receipt, you can't claim it. So what you need to do is make sure you keep a receipt of every medical bill that you have had to pay. But not only that, I would do it electronically. Because have you ever kept a receipt and they say, keep this receipt, and if it breaks in a year, it's gone, like batteries.
Yeah.
They print you out the receipt, and you keep it, and you pull it out, and it's a blank piece of paper. I'm like, thanks, bro. Thanks, and it's useless. But if I had have scanned it and kept it, then what would have happened is I could have gone out there and replaced my battery. Same thing with it's called the receipt trap. If you don't keep your receipts, it doesn't matter, So that's an issue. And then, I don't really want to get into the weeds. FSA, which is an employer-sponsored benefit, it's called a flexible spending account, which realistically is owned by the employer. It's an HSA is so much better. So my suggestion is really focus on the HSA, really focus on keeping your receipts, and maxing out that before you max out your 401k. Because realistically, if you need that money in retirement, it's there for you. Also, there's certain employers I can help manage your HSA and hopefully get better returns for you and better service. Rich, we got 30 seconds.
Yes.
Put you on the spot. Any other questions you got for me?
No, I think you wrapped them all up.
Hey, that's an amazing thing.
Way to
that's
go.
Great. What a glorious thing. Glorious thing. So, folks, give me a call, 434-316-0246. Exciting times. And I look forward to helping you achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And go to my website, servuscm.com. Also, remember, I have a survey that if you're interested in seeing if Cerusse Capital Management, Alan Molina, and you are a good fit, I have a survey that will help answer those questions. Have a blessed weekend, folks.
Returns for illustrative purpose. This is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or use a platform. Only will a suggestion occur after a meeting to determine goals, risk tolerance, and time horizons. Investments involve risks and no guarantee of future results.